Hello chess lovers, Suren here, and I have an interesting game for you played by a Hungarian chess player Zita Rajcsanyi against Hana Kubikova. Before starting the game, a few words about Zita Rajcsanyi. According to Janusz Kubat, who organized 1992 Fischer-Spassky match, Rajcsanyi was responsible for convincing Fischer that 49 was not old and that he ought to return to the chessboard. Here is the story. After analyzing Fischer's world-famous games, his strategies and biography, Rajcsanyi, who was a 17-year-old fan and Hungarian junior champion, sent a letter to Fischer. Fischer wrote back and they entered into a correspondence. Their future topic naturally was chess. Then Fischer invited her to visit Los Angeles. Soon after meeting him, Rajcsanyi sat down with one of history's greatest grandmasters and played. He was just beating me. I think we made a few draws, but I must have been very lucky in those games. Then we analyzed, said Rajcsanyi. At that time she persuaded Fischer to return to play by suggesting that she would find a sponsor, which she did successfully. Finally, in 1992, after Fischer beat Spassky, he began calling her in Budapest and saying they should get married and have children. At that time she was seeing the man whom she eventually married, but Fischer told her to dump him. She refused, and when Fischer persisted, she broke off contact with him in 1993. Now let's see how good was Zita Rajcsanyi in chess in 1991. At that time her rating was 2100 and her opponent's rating was 2165. Rajcsanyi had white pieces and she started with e4, c5 by Hana Kubikova, Sicilian defense, c3. White goes for Alapin variation, which is named after Russian chess player Semyon Alapin. White aims to set up a classical pawn center with d4. The main moves for black are knight f6 or d5, but in the game we see b6. Now comes d4, bishop b7, bishop d3, knight f6, queen e2, white is protecting the pawn on e4, c takes d4, c takes d4, knight c6, knight f3 and knight b4. Black wants to get rid of white's light square bishop and win the pawn on e4. And a very risky decision by Rajcsanyi, bishop c4. She goes for a pawn sacrifice and allows knight takes e4. But let's see, where is white's compensation? a3, d5, bishop b5 check, knight c6 and knight e5. White is intensifying the pressure on c6 and queen c7, after which black is facing serious problems. It was better to play rook c8. But in the game we see queen c7 and here comes the dark squared bishop, bishop f4, and already at some point white can create discovered attacks. Knight d6, but now white is developing the knight with a tempo, attacking the pawn on d5. Knight takes b5 and white recaptured with the knight, queen d8, and after knight takes c6, white is now starting to exploit the weaknesses of dark squares. Here comes knight d6 check. Of course, playing knight c7 check is also winning, but this is even stronger. King d7, knight takes f7, white is forking the queen and the rook, queen e8 and knight takes h8. Of course, already white's position is winning, but still black is making some more moves. Bishop e7, at least black wants to win the knight on h8, but now comes queen e5, white is now threatening queen c7, checkmate. Rook c8, black is covering the c8 square, rook e1. This time white wants to capture on e6, queen g8 and rook e3, white is freeing the e1 square for the second rook. Bishop b7, rook c1, rook c6, black managed to successfully defend the pawn on e6, but now comes queen b8. White is offering an exchange of queens, is simplifying the position, and this is simply over. Rook c8, now comes rook takes e6, and finally black resigned. If bishop f6, then rook d6 checkmate, or if a move like rook e8, then simply knight f7. White is a rook up, and this is an easy one position for white. Thanks for watching. I hope that this video was interesting for you. For more games, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next video.